All right, y'all, we back. Hopefully this sound issue is fixed. We'll try it again. As always, the same crew, we back again. Shantae, Team Della, Siobhan, Mistaken, JS Story to Tell, Tanya, Hink, me, myself, Lapeef J. Welcome to Lapeef Sundays again. I apologize for you all the mishap, but you know how it is when you're trying to live stream. Chat, how we doing? How are we doing? Let us know. Is there any popping noises that you guys hear currently? We back.
Perfect.
Everything good. I just need a few more people to chime in. How are we sounding? Is the stream sounding good? Is any popping noises going on?
All good. Stephen Day. Good, all fine. You good? Sound is good. Okay.
All right. Well, I'm going to allow people to come in because I think I have to. What's going on over there?
Sorry about that.
That's his fantasy football alert.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get this show started, man. We're going to let the people wait. I'm sure people are going to chime in. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Hit it again, because if you hit it on the previous stream, this is something that's different. So if you thought you hit it on this one, you may not have. So take the moment right now. Hit the like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Shout out to the sponsor, Teej Handling. Feel a Teej. That link is in the description. 30% off along with a free gift. So make sure you guys feel a Teej. They got all type of goodies over there. So shout out to the sponsor, Teej Handling. Shout out to the greatest network ever. And also the Lapeef Experience will be taking over DC. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Now we got the housekeeping out the way. First topic of the top of this afternoon. That y'all waiting for. Y'all don't even know what it is. When a man is nonchalant around you and never opens up to you. I got a little clip.
Most men are emotionally attracted to other men, just sexually attracted to women.
Ladies, I'm going to put y'all on game for a quick second. I had a friend who complained to me about a guy she dated some years ago. And honestly, this is a common complaint. The complaint was that the guy she was dating is so nonchalant around her, and she only knows him on a surface level, but when he gets around his homeboys, he is a completely different and open person. Do you know what that means? That means he doesn't like you. He may be physically attracted to you only, but that means he just does not see a future with you, nor does he want to form a bond with you in that way. And at this point, a lot of women mess up in two ways. Number one, you believe that if you keep physically giving yourself up, he will change his mind. He will not. And number two, you keep believing it's a reason to it, and it's not. When a man doesn't want you, it's simply because he doesn't want you. We do not think like women. And what I'm trying to say is, usually if you ask a woman why she didn't get into a relationship with another man, she will tell you exactly why. He was unkind. He was very mean. I don't like the way he treats his mother, which means he'll treat me the same way. Usually if you ask a man the same question as to why he didn't go into a relationship with the most sweet, gorgeous, well-to-do woman, he'll say something along the lines of, I just wasn't feeling it, bro. Ladies, I urge you to understand that men are very simple. And if you're in the situation, just go about your business. It's that simple. It's nothing to take personal. It's just a part of life. Just take the L and go. It'll save you a lot of time. Anyway, I didn't want much.
All right, well, you guys heard a lot there. I apologize for the long video. When a man is nonchalant around you and never opens up to you, I would like to kind of start with the guys on this one, and then we'll get to the ladies. I guess we're going to ask you guys experiences. If you have experiences, is this true? Let me start with the men. Go ahead, Jay.
It's absolutely true. I mean, he doesn't feel safe. You know what I mean? Like, it's a great feeling when we feel like we could be 100% ourselves. Like, if you see a man, if he acts the same way around you that he does his boys, then you know that he's comfortable with you. You know what I mean? There's some people that don't like to mix their relationship with their friendships because they don't want, their woman to see them that way. You know what I mean? But if you can mix that and you see the same person on both sides, then that means he's comfortable with you. And we like to feel safe. You know, we don't, when we are vulnerable, which is rare, we want to feel like what we're being vulnerable about is going to be protected. You know what I mean? So we don't want to feel like the first time a fight happens, that stuff is going to get thrown up in our face.
All right, Hank, sir, what about you? What's your thoughts?
I mean, what he said was true. I mean, I'm just in there for them 20 minutes. That's all I need with you, and I'm done. I'm not gonna give you a lot of information. Like I always say, I'm gonna lie to these hoes because that's how I treat you, and I'm looking at you as, because that's why I'm not sharing nothing with you. That's why you're getting the shallow. You're not to get the depth of me. You're not, because I'm not serious about you. So I'm gonna give you bare minimum. Right on.
Yeah, I hear that, man. I'm seeing in the chat that some of the people are saying that it sounds like some down low type of stuff. The fact that this person can actually, like the fact that this person can actually hmm, confide in his guys, but can't confide into a woman. But I think a lot of men do talk to their boys about a lot of stuff before they would talk to the woman. And I think that depending on who the woman is at that time, and it's not like the guy's telling everything, right? Because there's some things that guys won't even tell their woman, but they will tell that they won't tell their guys, and they won't tell a woman either. But I do think guys will open up because they're looking for feedback, and they're gonna probably give them. I won't say all the time. Sometimes the guys will keep it real. Sometimes the guys just tell you what they think that they or what they would like to do, and it don't come off as good advice. But let me get the ladies involved in this. What are you guys' thoughts? Have you ever experienced this with a man?
Yeah, one time I have. And I knew right away. And it would kind of be comments like, I can't wait to show you off, or I can't wait for us to go out. And I'm like, what, to show me off? Like, what exactly are we talking about? And there would be times where it would be, like he would be very kind, like super solid guy. I really think he's amazing. I just knew that he wasn't for me, but he knew that I wasn't for him also.
All right, what about you, Shantae? I see you got your hand.
Listen, I just really wish women would close their legs to these men. I really do. So are you saying, has that ever happened to me? No. However, if a man is showing you signs that he does not want to be with you, why are you having sex with him? I don't understand that. I personally feel that you should get to know a person first. He has to show interest, and then you get to have sex with him. I don't want a man to like me just because of my sex. I don't. So no, I don't, there are red flags. If he is being nonchalant, if he's not calling you, if he's breadcrumbing you, all of these things, sex is not going to change that. He is just not into you, sister. Sorry.
Shantae, I'm just trying to figure out how did we get to the sex conversation? I thought the
Because I
topic
thought
was.
he mentioned that in the video. So I was just going off of the video. I'm sorry.
He said sex won't make him stay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I'm sorry. I was commenting on the video.
I know, but you just took it there. I was wanting to hear your input.
I'm sorry.
As
So
far
what's say your question again? I want to make sure I'm answering your question.
Well,
I was responding to the video.
Okay, we're talking about when a man is nonchalant around you and never opens up to you. So basically, if the man's not opening up to you, he's not really into you.
Right.
And I kind of wanted to get you guys' experiences. Have you guys seen that when you guys were dating? I know some people are married, but before you got married, did you experience this? Did you know it was real once he opened up to you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, of course. If you're somewhere and you guys are in a dating process and he's just not talking to you, some people they're just slow to open up because you can't just trust everybody with vulnerable information. But I think that if he's showing intent, if he looks like he's engaging, obviously move forward. But if he's being nonchalant, he doesn't look like he's interested in you, he keeps looking at his cell phone, or when he's around you, there's not much conversation. You're the one who has to initiate the conversation. He's just responding, not even in full sentences. That's a sign that he probably does not like you.
I think it's just we all have to pay attention to the signs because they're always there. And I think a lot of women, we think that we can change that man, and that's not going to happen, you know. So the signs are there. We just have to pay attention to it. However, on the flip side, I feel that when a woman kind of shows a man that she's into him and she likes him, sometimes, you know, he can be like a little distant, maybe nonchalant, whatever. But when she starts to become distant and nonchalant, why is it that the man is all of a sudden like on her? You get what I'm saying?
I'm trying to. I'm really trying to gauge the conversation. I feel like it's. I feel like the
Shifting. Okay.
man. Yeah. I feel like it's shifting all towards the woman. And it's not
It is.
So we want to talk
like
to men.
I mean,
So we're not men.
men.
We're not men, so we can't speak on.
I know, but I'm just saying, like the topic at hand. I just feel like
You
I
can
mean, I feel
speak from
like
that
I
point.
just think that you guys are like shifting it. It's men want to open up, and if a man open
Oh,
up to
you
you,
think we
like
should
it's
try
a
to make him open up? And you're saying that he wants to. Okay, so what he was saying is
No.
totally different. It sounds like what he was saying is that's a red flag. He doesn't want you. But what you're saying is you should keep trying.
no. I'm not saying that.
No.
See now y'all trying to twist up. Now y'all getting me
No.
lost.
I'm
Jay,
confused.
man, I need some support here
Well,
Look
you
here,
because
man.
So
I mean,
because like
if a man is not opening up to you,
I'm
it's because
asking
he
a
doesn't
question,
trust you.
but it seems
so
like it's just shifting. Like every time I
from
go
what
to a
I
Yeah.
woman,
gather,
it's like
the
shifting
question is
somewhere different.
A man's not going to open up to somebody he doesn't trust. He's just not. He's not going to share with anything with you. He's going to share very little with you if he doesn't trust you. He's
from
going to give you just
So
enough
this is
information to keep you
I think
from
it's
what
also
I gather, but the question is
isn't
asking
fooling you.
if
So
a man does not open up to you, then does that mean he's not interested? Is that
he's
is that what the question is, JR?
Take it easy.
If he doesn't open up to
no,
you,
he's confusing us. This man right here on this
that
video.
most men are emotionally attracted to other men.
All right, so ladies, if a man is nonchalant around you and never opens up to you, it's because he does not like you and does not see a future with you. So maybe I should have put that at the bottom to scroll past, but that's what I'm thinking about when I'm bringing this up.
okay.
You
Well,
guys are
I
taking it
can
back,
agree.
saying if you know women got to stop open up their legs and stop having. I'm like, what are we talking about right now?
No, I was going to say, based on that statement, I completely agree. Even though I met my husband early on, we didn't start dating, officially became boyfriend and girlfriend till some time after. So I would say I've come into contact with guys that it was very clear that they wanted a sexual relationship and not a girlfriend relationship, because like you said, you're seeing those signs. The level of conversation is very superficial, very vague. They're not available, things like that, like trying to hang out. No, let's just hang out, at my house and stuff like that. Like, no sir, I'm good. So I definitely think when a guy is interested in you, I can clearly recall the transition between when my husband and I were just dating versus when we became more exclusive, because the level of conversation changed. He began to share, more in-depth information about himself, about his family, about his experiences that he did not share with me prior to, when we were just, in the getting to know you, let me keep it real, in the physical aspect of the relationship. But the more time that we spent with each other, that alone began to let me know that he's interested, because now he was making himself available to me, checking in, like, where you at, what you doing, wanting to have that time. So I was able to clearly see that transition. So
So, quick question. So, how at what point would you say that he started like opening up or becoming vulnerable? Like, how far into your relationship did that happen?
I would say, like, if I really think about it in terms of like where I can really draw the line, I would say it started off with little stuff first, where I think he was seeing what would I do with that information? What would I do? How would I react to hearing certain things? So it started off with little things like that. But I would say the more in-depth personal, like where he probably wouldn't share with even his boys, I guess at that point, I would say it was probably about 2 years in.
All right. I can kind of dig that.
I mean, to me, like I said it again, that's because he trusted you.
Mhm.
Once a man can trust you, he will give you everything that's in him and about him. He will not hold anything back. I promise you, as long as he can trust you. But if he can't trust you, you're not going to know shit.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think you made a good point too, because a lot of times women have not gonna say all women, but some women have a tendency to be able to like they
Use it
focus on
against you.
themselves. No. Like they focus on themselves and they're not really even paying attention to whether the guy is connected to them because they're so focused on what they have going on and what he's doing for them. And women have to understand that a man can be present but not present, if that makes sense. So he can be there existing and you don't have his attention. He's vetting you. He may be around, but you really don't have that connection because you're so just thinking about yourself. So you have to see if that man has that connection. And one of the ways, like King said, if a man starts to open up to you, you have to be able to grab his attention first. You may have grabbed his attention by your looks, but then after the looks, then what? Then what? So you got to still pay attention past. Just because he's with you doesn't mean that he's connected with you. So.
And asking probing questions for me was very helpful. So if there were certain things that I would ask and he wasn't willing to share, that kind of let me know that we're not at that stage yet where he felt where he could share that information. But then like later on, I would circle back because this would be things that I would find to be important to a relationship. So I'm asking, certain things. And then at that point, when he was able to share that with me, I was like, okay, so he's really feeling me because I remember before when I asked him this, he, gave a roundabout answer or didn't answer it directly. And now, okay, he answered that directly. So I can see that he was, building up a level of trust. And I think for most men, a lot of men aren't have this natural like distrust. And I don't say just for women, but I just think in general, like even in their relationships with friends, like you have to prove to them that you are solid. And I think once you get towards that aspect of, all right, I'm seeing it, they seem to be pretty solid, then I begin to see like different changes in not just conversation, but even in the way that he treated me. Just, being more concerned about making sure that I got home safe, or, making sure that, because, I was in school in Buffalo. So it would be things like, what, I just saw this like heavy sweater and some boots. I copped these for you. Here, I want to make sure that you have this. So it was just little things like that that started, progressively getting more frequent in terms of the things that he was doing that let me know that, all right, he feeling me. We on the same level, so.
Well, let me say this. This is when you know you're dealing with a good man. Or a man with some common sense or got something going about him. He is slow to speak, quick to listen. He'll sit there, plant a seed, and sit back there and watch and listen to what you say. He'll drop scenarios in your ear. Watch and just see how you respond. He won't say anything. He's not going to let you know what he's thinking. He's just going to sit back and watch and see and listen how you react to it, how you respond to it, how you carry yourself when the scenario is put in your presence. That's what a logical, good, smart man is going to do. He's going to sit back there and take in all the information. And let me tell you what he's going to do. He's going to go back home. He's going to process all that. She did this. She did that. She didn't do this. She didn't do this. I love how she responded. I hated how she responded. I didn't like it. I didn't like what she said. I didn't like her response. And he's going to evaluate you. And he's going to have a list in his head. The goods, the bad, the uglies. Which one weighs more? Does she make the cut? No, she don't. Because she didn't do it and act and respond like I was expecting her to. Yeah, she got to get left at the goddamn restaurant.
But hey, the other thing, oh, go ahead, Della. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was gonna say the other thing is like Hank, you say lie to them hoes. I think for me the difference was he didn't lie. He was upfront from the very beginning in terms of what he was looking for when we first started. He straight up told me that he wasn't looking for a relationship, but he did enjoy, my company and would like to get to know me better and spend time and things like that. So he did put the ball in my court to let me know, like, this is what it is. Like, if you're looking for a relationship right now, I'm probably not the one, but I do enjoy, chilling with you and getting to know you and stuff like that. So that's why I was saying, for me, I was able to either participate in that and say, all right, cool, or had the opportunity to walk away. Now, for me, I did enjoy hanging out with him too. We did have great conversation at that stage, and I enjoyed being around him, but I wasn't confused about what it was. But I guess the problem is is that I did eventually begin to get feelings, but I had to kind of reserve that because I knew he was honest with me about where he was at. The difference and change was when I started seeing a change in his behavior. So first he was like, we're just cool. But then when he started, wanting to get to know me more, that was when I began to be able to distinctly remember the change in his behavior that let me know, that he's starting to feel me too, more than, just beyond.
But
But you know
mistaken,
what?
but
It
you know what
also,
you did? You showed him that you don't need to be in that whole category. You showed him. Sometimes you don't have to say a word. Your presence show if I need to put you in that category. Your attitude, like in 2022, your social media would tell it. It's going to show you if I need to put you in that whole category. And once I figure out you're not in that category, then I'm going to give you everything and all things. I'm going to be straight up and honest with you. But if you show me that you a hoe, I will treat you as such. And I will lie to your ass.
but you know
And I
what?
will give you just enough to get what I need, them 20 goddamn minutes, and I'm going to send your ass out the house with a lifesaver.
But
All
you
right,
know
go
what?
ahead, Siobhan.
Yeah, there's you have to look at it like some women just aren't patient to even get to that point of even allowing a man to open up. Like back in the day, like I was super impatient. Like if I said something and it wasn't delivered in the time frame that I felt was necessary for me, I was out. I was done. Like I'm like, and I would explain like, look, this is what it is. And I literally had somebody that was bold enough to just be like, you have no patience. You need to like sit down, calm down, and let somebody direct you in the area that you need. But the same way you guys talk about a man needing to trust a woman has to be able to trust a man. And you have to be able to, I have to know that if you tell me to sit my ass down, I'm gonna sit my ass down. But it gotta be the right man, because can't every man tell me to sit down.
So I am definitely in alignment with the fact that the majority of women are not patient, long enough. I do think that what the guy said was 100% facts. You know what I mean? And when I say not patient long enough, I'm kind of relating it to the fact that, when men are intentional about you, they're intentional about you from the very jump. You know what I mean? Like they know if you're somebody that they want to be involved with on an intimate level, and they will show up and their behavior will be reflective of that. And if they're not, to the gentleman's point, then you need to make a decision whether or not that's something that you want to be involved in, because the dating scene is filled with men that they just want to have access to your body, not necessarily take you under their wing, not treat you or provide you with what it is that you want from the situation as well. And so you have to make sure that there's reciprocity there. And there are signs, to his point. So, you know, they always say, like, if you're left confused, then it's a no. Like, if you're feeling confused, then it's a hard, absolute no, you know. But I would probably have to counter you just a little bit, Siobhan, because I would say that men are intentional about the women that they want. And you don't have to, for at least from my experience, I didn't have to wait at all to see that, you know, the man that I'm with was intentional about me. He was intentional about me from the very first day that I met him.
So can I go back?
Yeah, you can go back now.
I hope I'm getting it correct this time. So if I'm in a situation with a guy, he's holding back. To me, time is so valuable. There needs to be some form of communication. He can't just keep this to himself and just sit here observing, and there's no form of communication, because I'm a talker and I like my man to respond. So I understand that he's observing, but if he's not giving me something to think that he's dating me with intention, or he's not communicating with me in some type of way to show that he's interested, I'm just going to let it go, because I value my time. I'm not going to waste time on someone who I feel is not giving me what I need. And that's, at this point, just communication. Just communicate.
Well, Chantel, you're not asking the right questions then.
Well, I do ask questions, but the thing was, is he's nonchalant? Are we missing it? He said, if he's nonchalant. So that means that he's not replying or giving me a response of engagement.
He is given the right.
So you're saying that you asking that question and he's not saying nothing to you?
Well, I'm just going off of the question that JR asked.
No, but I'm going off the sample you said. You said you're not going to sit there. Your time is valuable, right? And I understand
so
that.
If I'm speaking to him,
and so is a man's time. His time is very valuable too.
So
if a man,
so for both of us.
Okay, cool. I understand that.
Yeah.
But a man is investing his life into you when because I'm sure your intentions is for marriage, right? Is that your intentions, or just to have a man? No.
So Hank, the question was, if a man is nonchalant towards you, I'm going off of that. So if you're rerouting the question and you're asking me something totally different, I can give you a totally different question. I mean, different answer.
Yes.
But
Chantel, yes, I'm asking you a totally different question.
Okay,
so is your intentions to have a husband?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. I understand that. So your time is valuable, just like his. But you're asking a man who has everything to lose, right? Mm-hmm. When he gets married. Because a marriage is
women have things to lose as well, too. So both.
No.
Yes, we do. We both have things.
Well, I guess we got to agree to disagree, because if I leave you, you can take a half of whatever I have.
Sir, I'll sign. If we're talking about me, I will sign for me. I will sign up. I don't want your money.
Unless you have a prenup.
I've lived without it this long. I don't need it now, but I need you. So with that being said, if we're going into a relationship in a companionship, and I have to live the rest of my life with you as my companion, okay? I need to know that you're there for me, because that's what I'm looking for. Somebody who's going to be there for me, and I'm going to be there for them. All that other YouTube hoopla, whatever. For me, I'm looking for a companion, somebody I enjoy talking to, I enjoy traveling with, somebody I have their back, they have my back. I don't have time for games, okay? But what you're not understanding, Hank, because you're not a female, is there's so many men that women come encounter with who play games. And so it's hard for us to decide who is who. So that's where communication comes into play. And that is important.
So Chantel, I'm sorry. I made it.
It's okay.
I got you. I'm sorry. I want to make it right. When I say a man has a lot to lose, I've went through that loss. I went through a divorce after years of being married. So I took a financial, emotional, and mental loss, right? So men do have something to lose.
Oh, I get it.
My ex-wife, she didn't lose anything financially, right? Now, mentally and maybe physically, she did, and emotionally. But financially, she didn't take a loss. For a man to take a financial loss, that's a hit. And depending on the man, how much a financial loss, it could crush some men. Financially, it could crush a man. Losing the opportunity to have your kids 100% of the time. Now you're down to maybe 50, maybe 25% of the time. That's an emotional loss that some men can't handle. I've seen it break some men who lost the opportunity to be with their kids on a regular basis. Now, just think if a child is taken away from the state you're in all the way to a different state, not only a different city, but a totally different state. That is an emotional loss men have to take, because most of the time, the mothers are awarded the kids. So could you imagine taking that? No, you couldn't, because you're going to have the opportunity to keep your kids, because most of the time the courts award the kids to the mother. See, that's a loss I'm talking about. Little things like that, women don't keep in mind. I don't take, they take that for granted. So yes, if I'm a man and I'm going to bless you with my last name, but if something goes wrong, I'm going to take that hit. That is a loss. So I need to make sure I need to vet, and I'm going to take my time vet. I would never let a woman rush me into marriage just because she feels like her time is limited. Okay, my time is limited too, but I got also other things that I have to consider and keep in mind if things go left. Now, I'm not a man who believes in divorce. I'm going to fight it out till I can't fight no more. But I can't make the lady stay with me. I cannot.
I absolutely agree. I think you should definitely take your time, Hank. I'm not saying I'm sorry all of those things happen to you, and that's the reason why we're in this situation now where men don't trust women. I apologize. I get it. But what took place in your other relationship can't be brought over to a new, of course, proceed with caution. Absolutely. But what I'm saying to you is I'm not trying to rush you down the altar. But I'm saying if we're having a conversation in the beginning stage and you're not even communicating with me, to me, that's a red flag. I need a man in my life who is willing to communicate.
All right.
I just want to go back to.
Go ahead, Tanya. And then we go to Siobhan.
When she said that when you first met your husband, he told you his intentions, like that he was not, trying to be in a relationship right now, So I think it's all about communication and being upfront at the beginning. But then I think you said something about, not your exact words, I'm sorry. Something around the fact that I guess if you're not feeling the girl, you're going to lie to her to get your 20 minutes in. So it's like, why not be upfront and honest and tell the girl what your intentions are instead of saying, I'm going to just lie to her, tell her whatever to get your 20 minutes.
No. I said lie to her if she's a hoe.
But how do you know?
What makes her a hoe? Because just because y'all not connecting doesn't mean that she is a whore. So y'all just go out with anybody? No, that's not what I'm saying. It's not what I'm saying.
So
if
how do you know she's a hoe? Because
she's probably into you.
In 2022, these ladies, y'all tell everything on social media. Sometimes I don't have to have a conversation. I just look at shit and tell everything I need to know. I could tell by the way you dress, the way how you carry yourself, how you move, the circle of friends you deal with, if you're a hoe or not. And once I find that out, like I said, I will adjust accordingly, and I will treat you as such. But if you prove to me that you are a lady, I will treat you as such. Not every woman is a hoe. We all know that, and I don't say that. But the hoes are hoes, and I'm gonna treat them as such.
I guess there's just some of the ambiguity there, because it's just like you don't know her or him before you allow time for them to reveal themselves. So if we're just basing, knowing someone off of their social media, you don't even know their friends. So to point that, like for y'all, I could go to your social media page. I don't know who y'all's friends are. You know what I mean? And I can't use that as a basis to be like, oh, I know Hink. He ain't shit. You know what I mean?
What if her social media says hoe is life?
You know what? That's clear as day. That's clear as day. You know what I mean? So there are some things that are just clear as day to Hink's point. On the other end, I guess my whole point that I'm making is where it's like, okay, if you're taking her out and you're trying to get to know her, I would assume that if you're taking a woman out, it's because you have intentions to want to get to know her on some level. And at some point you can be like, after getting to know her for a little bit, be like, okay, I want to move. I want to, see if moving forward with this woman is possible, or being like, this is a complete dub. Like, I'm a man, so obviously I would have sex with her if the opportunity presented itself, but this is nothing that I would pursue seriously. So I guess, it's like from my perspective, Hink, I from what I'm hearing from you, it feels like you jump to that conclusion a lot sooner than the average individual. And I don't know if that's a man thing or a Hank thing, but I don't know. It seems like you classify women as hoes before maybe you really get to. But please clarify, because this is just my perspective on what I'm hearing.
All right, we're gonna have Hank clarify, and then we're gonna get to Siobhan, and we're gonna move on to the
let me
next
say
topic.
this: the first date I'm gonna take you on is to a coffee shop, and I'm gonna have conversation with you. We're not gonna be distracted by waiters, really a lot of other people, because maybe not a lot of people in the coffee shop. We're not gonna be distracted by what type of food we're trying to get or what type of wine or drink we're trying to. We're gonna be distracted by me and you and our interaction, and I'm gonna have questions. See, I'm gonna have conversation, Chantel. I don't know about the dude you was talking about that don't have conversation. I'm gonna have conversation, and by that conversation, she's going to tell me about how she acts, how she carries herself, and I'm gonna determine from there. Of course, you're gonna have other conversation before you get to the coffee shops. I would hope so. We're gonna have conversation via text or via the phone. So I'm gonna find out all of these things even before I get to the coffee shop. But we're going to have more in detail because I need to see your responses. I need to see your actions. I need to see how you carry yourself when I do ask a question. Are you shocked and appalled by some of the questions I have? That's going to determine certain things. So I'm going to know all of this. I'm going to investigate. I got to know.
So, please, JR, let me ask this question. So you're telling me you ask her to go on a date, you looked at her Instagram, and you in your mind already thought, okay, she's a 304 or whatever it's called. And then you like, okay, now I'm going to take her on a date so I can question her about being a hoe. Is that what you're saying?
Look, and see, that's the problem with a lot. Y'all just take men on face value and their looks. Man, I go into detail. I need to know these things. I'm not gonna waste my time, energy, and money on just any woman like that. That's why we just go to the
I'm kind of with Hank on it, Shantae. I am very inquisitive, and I ask in-depth questions from the very get-go. And because it's like, if you're intentional about me, then, and I'm thinking I may be intentional about you, let's get to know each other. Let's not waste any time. Let's not, time is of the essence here.
So you're saying that when it's just a questionable picture, not something downright in your face kind of picture. Because if a girl is showing her butt on Instagram, I don't think you should go on a date with her. I think that shows enough, because not every woman even has that in them. Like,
let me tell you something.
Body on Instagram.
I'm gonna go out with her, but I'm taking her home for 20 minutes.
His intent is totally different.
She's put that category. Now, I'm gonna use and abuse it. I'm enjoying my time, and I'm gonna send you home with a lifesaver. You don't need it too much.
I just wanted to say this though.
Hey, hold on, Miss. Let me get to Siobhan. I know she was trying to get in.
Sorry, I am cracking up from what he is saying. You are funny, for real. But I don't know, when I think of the topic, right, just a nonchalant man, right? Now that I actually just am like kind of hearing everybody's side and take on it, I still think the patience that I said before. But sometimes when you're dealing with a man, sometimes they're nonchalant because they know you're not going anywhere. They know that. Sometimes, not all men, but some of them think like, I can kind of do whatever I want. Because you know why? She's not going to leave because she wants me. Yeah, I want her a little bit, but that's not my forever. And some people really do think like that. They do. And it's like, you have to be able to take in, the things that a man is saying to you and take it as face value. Because sometimes when they say something, or not even sometimes, most times, they're being honest and they're letting you know that I really don't like you like that. They're just not flat out saying it. And some men are bold enough to say it like that. Like, you're just not, I don't like you in that way. And then they kind of put it in your court and say, are you going to take what I'm dishing you? Or are you going to fix whatever you feel like you need to fix? Or I can tell you what you need to fix, but some women aren't even willing to ask a man, like, what is it that I can work on to be a better woman or wife to you? You know why? Because that question scares women, because they honestly really don't want to know until they get old enough to be able to process why a man truly doesn't want them.
Hank, I was just going to say, I just want to clarify this, because I think a lot of men say this without necessarily finding out the facts, or they're talking from an anecdotal aspect of their feelings and how situations happen with them. But you had mentioned about the divorce and men doing worse after that. If you just go look up any of the studies about, the impact of divorce on like the finances of men and women and stuff like that, you will see that the research do show that women tend to fare worse after a divorce.
Well,
So
and what I'm saying,
financially, now emotionally, and
short term. I'm talking about short term. Yes, short term. Because when I initially had to cut that check or cut them checks, I had to cut 3 checks. I'm sorry. So I had to cut 3 checks. Short term, financially, it hurt me. You know what I'm saying? Because wasn't expecting to have to do this, but I had to do what I had to do. You know what I'm saying? As far as short term, as far as dealing with our son doing the situation, it was a short term situation because now all of a sudden I come home, my son isn't there. You know what I'm saying? So short term, yes, it emotionally it messed with me to the point I had to get therapy. Financially, it hurt me to where I had to do what I had to do. But now I'm just talking about on short term. Now, as far as long term, yes, I agree. It does affect the lady, probably more so than the man. But I'm talking about on short term.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that because a lot of times men are like, she gonna take me for all I got. I mean, and truthfully, I can understand men who might be those top earners. They do have to concern themselves with that. That's where, more than likely I would think that they would probably have a prenup in place. And, if they don't, then I understand that. But for the average majority of us, that's typically not the situation. And so then when you get a divorce, yes, it's like, damn, I got to come out of pocket with this money. But in general, women tend to fare far worse after a divorce than a man, especially if they do have the kids. Even y'all pay those who pay child support. It's just that having those two solid incomes together is always going to be more beneficial than, when you have to separate it out.
But and you know what? I agree with what Shantae said earlier. All I know is that I think that prenups in this day and age are very necessary. I think they're very necessary, and I think that if you're really intentional about a person and want to be with them, I don't think that a prenup is a bad thing. Some people get together and then they do a postnup, but it's just like, why not just get it over with? Why not get that prenup signed? Kind of, put in the court system to just say, hey, if this and this happens. And then you have the other side that would say, okay, well, if he want me to sign a prenup, it's because he doesn't love me or doesn't care. But as a woman, we're protecting ourselves. Why can't they protect themselves?
Yeah. All right, we gotta move on. You guys appreciate that. We got a couple super chats came through. The Will says there's a panel thing opening up to the point of being vulnerable is necessary when your partner is transparent. Appreciate you, Dub. Will for the 4.99. I seen your little podcast, $2 caller, aka little podcast in the building. Uh, Also, E4.99. I agree with Hink. The laws are for women. Thank you guys that have super chatted. I'm hearing that the likes are down. Can we take this opportunity right now to hit that like button? Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Set the notifications to all because you do not want to miss any shows or any clips that I drop. And so hit that notification to all. Moving on to our next topic. I got a question for the ladies. Ladies, would you prefer to have a man that is driven and projected to go somewhere or a man 15 years older and is already there?
That's a good question. It depends. Age-wise, it depends. Because when you're dealing with someone that's like in college and they need those years to be able to get to that point to be successful. You can't expect a man that is in college, really in college, he's a boy trying to be a man, right? But sometimes it's easier for some women to have somebody that's already driven. That would be the easy part. But see, what some people really don't get is that you can literally help a man or not really help, because a man already has a projection on how and where they want to be, right? But a woman is going to help them get there. That's what we're here for.
Okay, that's Siobhan's perspective on that. Tanya, I'm gonna go to you next. What are your thoughts? Would you prefer to have a man that is driven and projected to go somewhere, or a man 15 years older and is already there?
Um, I would actually prefer a man that's you said 15 years older.
It's. I mean, it could be extreme. I mean, it could be 10. It's just an older gentleman that's I say 8+ years older. Because typically, older men be in a bag. Some at an early age nowadays, but
Um,
typically,
it just depends, honestly, with me, because a lot of times men who are already established and settled, they're kind of like stuck in their ways and boring and just, but a guy that's maybe driven and trying to get to that point, yeah, it honestly depends with me. Like I would try either, both of them. It just depends.
okay. Can you explain a little bit as to why you would go for the man that's driven? And because you said it all depends, I get it, but just
Yeah,
give me
because
more context as
if I
the
see if
why
I
the driven
see
guy and then why the guy that's
okay.
already
Yeah.
there.
So if I see his vision and what he's trying to do, and he really believes in it, and I believe in it too, then I would definitely jump on board and try to move forward with him. But like I said before, a man that's already established is cool too. But sometimes it might be that man that's kind of stuck in their ways or not trying to adapt to, anything different. My opinion.
Okay, so if you had to pick one, which one?
Oh, I guess I'm gonna go with the 15 years already established.
Yeah, okay. So that means you gotta get up on his program. So whether he's stuck in his ways or not.
I would
Yeah.
hope that he was not. Yeah.
Okay. Uh Miss Taken, I know you are married, but I'm just saying you have dated before, I'm pretty sure. And you
Uh,
you were. Yeah.
I would agree with Siobhan in the terms of it depends on what age and stage you are in your life. I think the younger you are, the more risk you're willing to take. So you don't mind being in a position where you're dealing with somebody who is driven and they're on, that trajectory of success. Um, you're willing to take that risk. You have the time to take that risk. Whereas I think as you are older, you are looking for something that is more settled and established. So you would typically probably want an older dude at that, well, an older guy at that time. Because
Dude.
of, yeah, I know that can at that time. So I think then you would prefer somebody that's more established. Yeah, when you're younger, you have that time to waste. When you're older, you don't.
Okay. Any other ladies on the panel?
That's a good take, Miss Taken.
Mhm.
So I personally, at this age, obviously the 15-year-old, the guy who's older, of course. However, my 20-year-old self, I would probably have taken the guy who was driven, who is my age, and we can move forward together. Absolutely. I'm one of those people who likes to help you get to where you have to go. You give me a project, I'm on top of it. It's us, baby. Us against the world. 15 years, I'm thinking to myself, where is the chemistry there? He's already got himself together, which would be great if I can fit right in. If I can envision myself as a part of his vision, absolutely. However, I prefer a man my age who I can grow with and help get there.
But when you have somebody that's 15 years older than you, there can be some differences, right? But sometimes a man wants a woman that's a little younger because they can kind of spice their life up a little bit.
Yeah, but it's what you want, though. And the question
I mean, if you like them, shoot, I can spice your life up now. Okay.
Hank, sum it down.
So was the question that the young man is?
Yeah.
My time is coming.
Was the question that the young man is driven versus the older man who is already established?
Yes. Yeah, that's it. Would you prefer to have a man that is driven and projected to go somewhere, or a man 15 years older and is already there?
Um, I would probably take, I mean, obviously if I had to like do it all over again, I would probably do the already established and older individual. Just because when you look at young men, especially being in your 20s, if I was older, I would probably take the individual that's, very driven in my age. But when you deal with young men in their 20s, there's just a lot that comes with young men in their 20s. They don't mature as fast. So that's really, a disconnect. Women, we mature a lot quicker than guys do. And so, that can cause friction in some areas. So personally, I would prefer someone that's already established. I feel like, when it comes to compatibility and it comes to chemistry, those are things that can certainly be developed. And obviously, if it was the right person, there would be enough that was already there for me to even want to have intention to move forward with them. So,
Okay.
just
I
want
got
to
a quick.
keep it up in the software life,
Yeah. I have a question for the men, and of course it's different. But as a young man, did you know that you were driven, or can a young man recognize when he's driven and when he's not? Do you think that that's something that they notice?
Nah, I don't think you ever appreciate what you are until you're looking back on it. Whether that's happiness, whether that's driven and your hustle. I think you get older and you get to a point where you look back at yourself and you think like, damn, I was really out there doing this, or I was really chasing this dream, or you know you might have had less risks, you might have had less responsibilities, so you were kind of more balls to the wall. I think when you're in it, you don't ever really appreciate it until you kind of reminiscing on it and looking back, like, and that's just getting older. Shit, you may look back at pictures of yourself and be like, damn son, I was a beast. You know what I mean? Like, you may, and it brings some memories that you like, damn, how do I get back to that?
All right, Hank, same question for you. As a young man, and as you see young men, do you think they can recognize if they're driven or if they're gonna be projected to be somebody greater than what they currently are?
Well, I guess it depends on situations. Like I realized mine at 25 is when I realized what I had to do, because when I was 21, I had my daughter. So it speed up the process. I couldn't take my time. I couldn't be slow walking it. I felt like I had to get to it a lot faster, probably if somebody who didn't have a child, at an early age. So I was forced to, get on my shit, as I like to say earlier, than maybe a lot of other cats because of my child. So I think it all depends on different situations. If you had like a life changing situation or life changing event that may have happened in your life, sometimes you have to, hey, I gotta go a lot faster than I want to, or a lot faster than I expected to do. So I was forced to do that just because of my daughter. But yeah, at 25, I realized, okay, this is it. But to me, I feel like every 5 years you'll go through a change. So like when I was hit 25, I had a life, my maturity level came way different from when I was 20. Then when I hit 30, my maturity level went to a whole new level, you know what I'm saying? And seeing things, and then how I move and how I respond to certain things and how I treated people. So
Yeah, I'm gonna just say, I think at a younger age, I may not have been where I wanted to be, but I always had that drive. And I used to always tell this story that even up in high school, I think I recognized it in high school that they would come out, I think every semester, and you're ranked, like whether you're like one out of 211 from your class. And I always paid attention to that because I would always rank within the top 10. And I took exception, like the closer I would get to that number 10, and I was doing the bare minimum because it just came easy. And I think the Catholic grammar school just really prepared me for high school. So while a lot of people were struggling, I couldn't really wrap my head as to why they were. it just came easy to me. So as I got older, I began to start trying to apply like more and more. Like I'm never satisfied. So I'm always looking to see like how can I do better? How can I top what I've done already? And even now, I don't think that I've reached my peak. I think that there's still going to be something else. There's something bigger that's going to happen, and I can just taste it. So I'm always driven to try to get the max out of life, to try to see what is it else that I can get before I leave this earth. And I don't think everybody had that drive, because I do have a friend associate, and he doesn't inspire that same way. And so we don't really hang out as much because our minds are not aligning. And as I got older and older, I can see the separation because he's not driven. He's okay with just being just who he is to that day. He's okay with just getting the bare minimum. He's okay with just I ain't gonna even say because it's gonna probably be too much information. But I do think that some guys are driven a little bit more, and that's what separates people. And I think that's what helps balance the world out. You got to have people that are lazy, unfortunately, or people that's not driven, because how you gonna know when somebody's driven? There's nothing to really compare. So I think a lot of people balance the world, and some people are the exception. And hopefully somebody can catch the cheat code. And if you don't catch it, then you're just gonna just be basic throughout your entire life.
But do you ever think that even just kind of getting to your peak in which you eventually, will be there, right? Because a lot of us probably think you're there, but you don't think that. You see what I'm saying? Because it's you. But in you trying to kind of scale yourself up, are you what time do you have to just rest?
Um, it's all about like the satisfaction of it, right? So whenever I'm able to see things, and I take like the Atlanta show, right? A lot of people would say the Atlanta show was great, but I still looked at it to be it could be better, and I know it's going to be better, but I just think that I just want to constantly keep improving. I don't think there's no ceiling. Sometimes I take a moment to sit back and I look and I take it all in when I had the time to look back in the beginning, but you just got to keep looking forward. You got to keep wanting to build. You got to keep wanting to like add to your list of accomplishments. So I don't know. I don't think I ever really have a chance to truly like sit down. I still haven't wrapped my head entirely of how the show went. I'm focused on the things that could have been done better. And that's just the way that I kind of like look at life. So I don't think I would truly ever be satisfied. And I appreciate the drive. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to um, like problem solve greatness. I want to keep doing it. I enjoy it. So while people may say take a rest and sit back, and it's like, well, I'm taking a rest. I do take rest. I'm not always constantly working like 100% of the time, but the way my mind operates is that I have to keep trying to achieve more and more and more because I just like it.
Okay. So I have one last question for you, if you don't mind, right? What what would you say to the people that, or to the audience that is watching right now, and just overall, what would you tell them if they are stagnant in life, don't know where they're going to go, whether it's left or right? What advice would you give to them to make their drive more, or heighten it a little more, and so they can be successful in their life, not the same as you, but just in their own personal life?
It's just something about like regret, because you can't go back and change things. So if you change it right now, then you won't have to be on the other side of that and be like, man, I regret that I didn't do this. I regret that I didn't do that. So I don't want to be that person. I'm about making the impact like right now, trying to be present with what's going on and being able to adjust. Because once time get too far apart, then it's hard. I know a lot of people that's just look back at their life and say, I wish I would have done this. So I don't want to have too many of those. Once you learn a lesson early on and you understand that you don't want the regrets out of life, then the time starts now. You start adjusting, you start moving accordingly, and then you could minimize a lot of those regrets. You won't be that person, that old person. We see a lot of older people now, and they just wish they can go back. I don't want to be that person.
I have a question on like the flip side, kind of what you're saying. And since we're talking about relationships as well, how do you, and I'm saying you in general, you can answer it directly or, in general terms. How do you apply that same level of drive in your relationships or marriage? Because I think a lot of times as men, we do understand that your focus is on your career, because that's the way that you feel that you provide, right? And so that drive, you're able to see, your growth and stuff like that. So the focus become career, 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 and sometimes you lose focus on the relationship. So my question is, how do you apply that same level of drive in your relationships?
Is this question for anybody or just for
For
JR?
anybody, just for men in general. I'm saying for men in general because typically you guys measure your value a lot of times in the career aspect, and the focus is the career aspect. But on the opposite side, for me as a woman, I feel your biggest flex is the outcome of your family.
I think I think what Hank mentioned earlier, like every kind of 5 to 10 years, a man has to kind of redefine themselves, or what makes you tick, or what makes you think you're a man. In your younger years, it's how you dress, the women that find you attractive and want to be with you. 10 years later, it's your drive and your profession and your hustle. 10 years after that is what type of father you are, what type of husband you are, or boyfriend if you're in a relationship. So it's constantly being redefined. I mean, I think specifically to your question, and I'm not married so I can't speak to that, but I think in the relationship aspect of it, making them a part of whatever that drive is, so they feel included, so you can see empower them in some capacity as to what your hustle is. That way that they feel included, and you're building a different bond. From you have your marriage or your relationship, but then when you dealing with each other on a professional capacity, or y'all are hustling together, I think it builds a different aspect of the relationship that's not always there.
Well, I know with me, you got to have a goal. And after you come up with a goal, you got to have a plan to accomplish that goal. And I try to do that, in not only in life, and as well as talking to some of these young boys, especially some of my son's teammates, because he goes to a school where it's just a lot of kids just unfortunate. You know what I'm saying? So I try to ask these guys, what do y'all want? What is your plan, and how do you plan on getting there? And what tracks are you willing to take? So as far as relationship wise, my goal is to get married again. Now, it took some time for me to get to that mindset again, because it took some therapy, because I was in the mindset, man, I'm never going to do this bullshit again. But at the end of the day, I realized my goal is to get married again. So now what is my plan? How do I plan on getting to that goal? You know what I'm saying? And so that's how I try to address almost everything. Look at it as the same aspect.
And you know what, Miss Taken, I can kind of, answer your question too. Is that I think that I'm one of those people, or one of those women, that I don't like a man to kind of take me off my path. And I also have like a certain mindset where it just be like, dang, I give myself a couple of years to get to the peak of where I want to be. Right. I was an accountant for 6 years. And or not even 6 years, I would say 5 years. And within those 5 years, I became a senior accountant, right? Once I hit that peak, I said, my personality is just a little too big. And I didn't date anybody at that time because I was too busy trying to figure out, like, damn, am I going to start my whole career over at my age right now to kind of fulfill me and who I am as a person? And when I took myself out of a relationship and I just kind of focused on my career, it helped. But then you kind of miss that companionship too. You want the companionship, but at that moment, your career and who you're going to be is going to be so big, but it can feel lonely at times.
All right. I think we'll go ahead and transition to the next topic. If you haven't already, hit the like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. set the notifications to all so you guys do not miss the drops. Shout out to the sponsor, T. Chanley, again. I do have a link pinned to the Lapeef Network's Instagram, so make sure you guys click that link that's pinned to the top of the chat and go ahead and follow. You will see some clips there. Kind of give you an overview of what happens over here on the network. So be sure to follow the IG page. And we're going to move on. It's time to get to the meat, as we know the ladies like the meat. Mistaken trying to, she got that stoic face.
I'm vegan.
It's like they got us on like Beyond Meat. They got Beyond Meat too. So.
Impossible.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
I'm with you on the impossible, Jay. They can keep the Beyond.
You're on mute.
Yeah, you on mute.
I'm gonna play this clip. It's a little bit longer, but this is the main topic right here: how to know when a man is intentional. I'm gonna play this clip of this young lady, and she's giving her version of how she know a man was intentional. And I want to get you guys' perspective about it for the people that's watching.
So I met this guy, right? And we're talking over the phone constantly. Like, this guy is calling. You could tell he is definitely vetting me to figure out if I'm even worth his time. And I have no problem with this, sir. You do what you got to do to make yourself comfortable. We've had several conversations, and the conversations are good. He's not just like, hey, how are you to death, and just sitting on the phone. Like, we're talking. Anyways, by the end of the conversation last week, he says, you know, I'm a traveling nurse. I just start my assignment. I don't know what my hours are yet, but when I get my schedule, I want to see you on my day off next week. Notice his word choice. I want to see you next week. He made it very clear what his intentions are, and he gave me a time frame. That alone put the man 5 steps ahead of everybody else. Already. So we talked a little bit over the weekend, and he calls me yesterday. A little bit into the conversation, he says, do you have any food allergies? I said, no, but I don't like avocados. I got a thing about eggs. I'm not a big fan on Italian food. He starts to laugh. Oh, I just made reservations for tomorrow at an Italian restaurant. I can change them if you want me to. You don't change a thing, sir. You don't. I will find something to eat on that menu. I will find, even if it's just a salad with a baked potato, do not change a single thing. The fact that he made reservations, not even the reservations, let me take that back. The fact that he made the plans. He said he was going to see me this week. He gave me a day this week, and he made the plans. It is 9 a.m, and I'm thinking to myself, where is my eyelash glue? Do you know when was the last time I put on eyelashes for a guy?
All right, so you guys get the point. I mean, she was going off. I know. I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't ready.
Okay.
I loved it. She was so excited. The enthusiasm was awesome.
yeah, it was. But let's talk about it, though. How to know when a man is intentional. She did kind of highlight her story in particular, and it may sound similar to some of you guys' story. But go ahead. Who want to talk first?
I've gone first every time. I guess I'll go again. Sorry, y'all. Okay. I think from her point, she was so happy. And I think that that hasn't happened to her in such a long time, that she appreciated the man being intentional. And the fact that she could kind of look at this man and he's asking her, you know, is this, you know, what don't you like? And he's willing to change your reservations that he put his effort for, you know, to accommodate her is amazing. That means that he was intentional in wanting to be with her, or not even being with her, but being able to sit down and try to get to know her to even get to that next point or level in the friendship, relationship, or whatever it is.
All right. Go ahead, Jay. What are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think when I've been intentional, like, and what was the difference. And I think ultimately you're more nonchalant definitely you don't plan as much. You offer the woman a bunch of things that mean nothing to you. You know, like if money is abundant, you know, you'll buy them things. And if they're that type of person, they'll look at it as a big thing, but it really means nothing because it was easy to do. You know, if money is abundant, you know, buy them. If your time is of the essence and you give them that time, you know, I've showered women with gifts that meant nothing, and I've done small things that meant a great deal, you know. So it's like if a man is giving you a bunch of something that doesn't matter to him, it's not important. It means nothing. But if you know something, like with the story that she was explaining, he was busy. So he picked a day the following week. You know, he had it planned out, like, this is happening. This is what we're going to do because I want to see you. Stuff like that. And the good thing is that she appreciated it. You know what I mean? She was excited and she appreciated it because it doesn't come around like that. You know, it's definitely nowadays, or, you know, what you want to do, or whatever you want to do, what you want to eat, or whatever you want to eat. You know what I mean? That's how actual dates happen nowadays. You know, it's nobody's really taking a stance. So when you see something like that, and she's probably going to show her appreciation for him doing that, you know, it'll be a good thing. But definitely when somebody is pretty much telling you where to be, how to be, you know, wear this or something to this effect, you know, they're intentional. Yeah.
All right. What about you, Team Della? What are your thoughts about it?
I would say you definitely know when people are intentional about you. It's reflective in the behavior, and that behavior induces certain feelings that you have. You know, I said before, like, if you're left to feel confused, then just know that it's an absolute no. But if you're left feeling like, I feel involved, I feel connected, you know, that's a good sign. And so, you know, I had similar experiences with, you know, my significant other where he was very intentional about courting me, where it was like, this is where we're going to go. This is what we're going to do. What days are you free? You know, it wasn't like love bombing, but, you know, he was intentional about getting to know me and making sure that I felt like connected to him, and he wanted to get to know me. I wanted to get to know him. There was reciprocity there, and it was consistent. You know, it wasn't these, you know, these lapses and times where it was like, okay, now you're a no-show, or I haven't heard from you, or so it was just very consistent. And as time progressed, things evolved. And so, you know, when someone is intentional about you, and it's important that, you know, you're looking out for those cues.
Okay. Mistaken?
Y'all know, like, I write my thoughts down, so that was kind of like on the same line. I do, um, like with Della, what she was saying. So for me, I feel like you feel protected emotionally, physically, and mentally. Even in the beginning stages. Now, as you progress, of course, it's going to be, you know, different. But just, I would say at the beginning stages, like being protected physically, not just, you know, having you in an environment where he's physically protecting you, but more so of, again, like I said, making sure that you get home safely. Um, Doing things like, you know, maybe you've had a date, you know, and you've cooked for him at your house, and he notices something that's broken, that he just takes it upon himself to be like, oh, you know what, let me tighten that water faucet for you, or something like that, you know. So making sure that you're physically protected in that aspect. And then on an emotional level, for you, is not necessarily having to question his intent, because he's constantly assuring you that he's constantly assuring you through both his words and his actions what his intention is. So not only can you see you can see what he's saying, because his actions are followed up by, you know, his words of commitment, that he's committed. And then on a mental level, he won't keep you in the dark about his whereabouts or what he's doing. He wants you to know, what's going on. He wants you to know that, you can reach out to him when whenever you need to. And that like he'll include you in his plans. So I think for me as a woman on a mental level of knowing, not necessarily knowing his whereabouts, like, oh, I'm calling it, I'm here at the store shopping, or I'm here, not like that, but just in terms of general, like, oh, I'm gonna be out and about today doing, whatever. But if you need me, I'm here, you can call me or what have you. So I just think he's intentional about his actions, and those actions that make you feel safe physically, emotionally, and mentally.
All right. What about you, Shantae?
Oh my. As a person who's currently dating, it's hard to know who's serious and who isn't serious, but I do agree. Some of the things that stood out to me, especially with the video, was the fact that he made plans on his day off, because time is precious to me, like you guys all know. And of course, I would assume that time is precious to him. So the fact that he wants to spend time with me on his day off is like, I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. But some other things, I like when guys just call me in the middle of the day, like if they're at work and in their break, they're like, you know what? Are you busy? Are you available to talk? And then they call me, or they want to FaceTime me. Or if they're on the phone and I call and they click over, hey, I'm on the other line, let me get back to you. Or if they send a simple text, hey, on the other line with my mom or whoever, they respond. To me, that's dating with intent. There are little things like that. I'm like, oh, I kind of like him. I may give him, some more of my attention, because I promise you, yeah, that's what I'm gonna leave it at that. Before I go off into something else. Okay, that's my answer.
No, you can go ahead, go off. Come on.
No, because
No.
when you are out here and you're dating people, especially in the city of Atlanta, everybody can take you out for a meal, wine and dine you, but that doesn't mean they're intentional with their dating. I prefer a guy who wants to speak to me on a daily basis. No, he doesn't have to tell me a play-by-play of his day, even though this last guy did. But he doesn't have to do a play-by-play. However, I do like when you text me in the morning, hey, have a great day today, and then you want to talk to me during the day. You care about my day. I care about your day, because I'm reciprocating. It's not all about me. I'm a giver in a relationship, believe it or not. But in the beginning, I do want to know that you're intentional. And those are ways to show me you're intentional before we even go on a date. And if we go on a date and I like you, we like each other, and it continues, I'm like, I may like this guy. Star for him.
You already starring, huh?
Goals.
Hey, go ahead. Go ahead, Hank. I don't think you spoke on it yet, have you? Go ahead, sir.
Not yet. I just want to give the ladies and my man Jay opportunity to get it all out. But as far as a man showing intent, he's going to have it by his conversation and how much information he's sharing with you. We talked about this in the first part of the show. I mean, if he's sharing all of these information that you normally don't hear him talk about, all of a sudden, yeah, his intentions are shown right there in part. But you also got to be a type of woman that's going to be willing to accept this information. You know what I'm saying? And how are you going to use it against him? And he's going to give you them samples and them opportunity to do that. But what that also showed me in this clip, man. It showed me this woman she's needed a man. She needed a husband. She didn't want one. She needed one by her actions. And that further lets that man know he's going to be more intent with his action, even more so because of the actions that she proved. Let me tell you man, something. There's a question you need to ask every woman. Do you need a man or do you want a man? And if the woman tells you, I want a man, don't take her ass serious. Leave her at the goddamn restaurant. Because you're looked at as an accessory. That's all you are to them. You're a belt when you don't need a belt. It just looks good. But if she says, I need a man, you take that woman to heavens and earth, to the end with you, because that woman has a lot of potential. I don't want no woman that says, I want a man. I want a woman who says, I need a man. That means she's going to fight and she's going to be there for me. That means she's going to do whatever she has to do to make this relationship work. And so my intentions is, like I shared with before, I want to get married again. But I need to meet that woman who needs a man, who needs a husband, not wants.
Hank, to your point, I think a part of the issue is that women don't know what areas in which the men can fulfill a need. A lot of times what happens is that the financial aspect is what's pushed, right? Men lead with money, men and women say that they want to feel, provided for, which equates to money. So in a situation when you have a woman that or a woman that says, I want a man, I don't need a man, I think a lot of times they're referring to that aspect only. Like, I have my own job, so I'm able to pay my own bills, I'm able to do those things. But I think a lot of times we lack understanding that needing a man is far beyond just the financial aspect. And I think that's where we, misunderstand the wanting part and the needing part.
Drop the gems for us, Miss Taken, please.
Let me say this. A need is something you can't live without. A want is something that's going to make your life a little easier. So if you sit there and say, I have this bottle of water. Here you go. Well, this water is nice, but I want that Fuji water. Oh, okay. Well, no, you want it. You don't need it because I gave you the water you needed. You just want something better. I need to leave your ass at the goddamn restaurant. That mean that father lets me know. That's not, ladies, please. That's the problem with a lot of these ladies now. They always going for what they want. And what you were saying about money, I got this. Yeah. You ain't never been a homeowner. Because if you have to deal with what Shantae dealing with, and you have to pay a lawn man, and you have to put that in your budget every week, if you get your yard cut every week, that shit's taxing, and you don't want to do that. And in the middle of the night, all of a sudden, your hot water heater goes out. That man, that need, what you should be needing, he's going to be that person who's going to say, calm down, I'll get this taken care of. And he's going to know what to do. We may have to take a cold shower in the morning before we go to work. But I promise you, that man's on the phone, calling the right people, doing what he needs to do. Or he's pulling up a YouTube video, finding out what he can do to possibly fix that. Oh, the paddle light just went out. No problem. I can get that. You know what I'm saying? That's the needs that y'all need to be looking for. Instead, y'all want, I don't need a man. Until that car goes down, when you have to replace and put a new battery in that vehicle.
Hank, I have a question for you.
Then all of a sudden, the need word is in there. Oh man, I need a jump. I wish I had. Okay, I heard you.
Hey, when your whole first four.
I got a question for the ladies. Would you guys say Hank is in his bag? Ladies?
No? Yeah, he is bag.
I don't know what that means. I'm sorry.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Oh, that means that he's on fire.
Talking that talk.
He's preaching, talking that talk.
Talking that lingo.
But are there any other locations that you leave the ladies at, or is it just the restaurants?
He's a flight risk.
No, the Silver Diner.
Let me
is it just the restaurant?
Let me explain to Team Dallas. I'm not figuratively talking about actually leaving at the restaurant, at the actual restaurant, but you just leave her. Just leave her, period. You let her be. You can be left in the garage. You could be left in the park. You could be left in the club, be left in the bar. You know what I'm saying? But you just leave her. If she's not worthy and worth your time, fellas, leave her. You the prize, fellas. I tell y'all guys this all the time. You are the prize. Act as such. A queen can't be a queen without a king. I'll make a queen.
So I just wanted to say I do agree with everything that
I definitely agree.
You're saying, Hink. I think that what has happened is a lot of women are so used to being single, so they feel like I've been doing it all of this time, I can continue to do it. But I agree because what you're saying, because even though you're doing it, that does not mean that it's not taxing on your body. Because I'm a female, I can't be a man. It may be something that comes natural to him that I'm trying to do. That means my health is fading. All of those things are happening to me, and I may not know it's happening because I'm stepping out of my element, trying to be something that I'm just not. So I agree that women do need men. And it's unfortunate that we can't, some people are saying that we don't, and they just don't understand that they actually do need a man. Because I need one right now for multiple reasons.
Same, sis.
I'm hoping he comes real soon.
Well, I think once these women start realizing that, Chantel, what you're saying,
it's Shantae.
Yeah, but you could call me whatever you like, Hank.
Dante, Chantel.
Hey.
I've been on the
You got Chantel over there submitting.
Once I feel like once the ladies start to realize that they
a real man,
you know what I'm saying? Once these ladies realize that they do need a man, you know, we'll probably have a lot more relationships in marriage. But a lot of ladies got to get over that fact of let their pride go, and maybe more so it's what it is. Their pride won't allow that to happen. You do need a man, and once you realize you do, you'll be in a different frame. I promise you that feminine energy will be all over the place.
And it also takes a man to do that, because I know, like my husband, his sister, she's one of those go-getters, blah blah, like that kind. And in a previous relationship, she had to be the one that took the lead, right? And then when she moved on from that relationship, in her new relationship, the man that she's with now created the need. Because she was so used to being the one that was, I guess, what y'all would consider the man in a relationship, so to speak, that when she met a man, like he no, you're not going to do that, chillax, I got this. So he was very intentional on letting her know that this is not your role, fall back. And I think a lot of times as women, we do take on more than what we need to. But as a man, I do think it is your place to put for lack of a better word, it is your place to put us in our place, because sometimes we just don't know, especially when you're single for a long time. You're used to doing all of these things for yourself. So when you go in a relationship, it may not necessarily be as easy to transition from me taking care of everything to allowing you to take care of everything and then telling me where you need the assistance. But as a man, you have to set that tone.
So can I ask something to the guys? Like, have you guys ever said to a woman like you act like a guy? Have you ever said that to a woman?
Have I ever told a woman she acts like a guy?
Yeah, like her mannerisms and how she goes about things in the relationship, like you're like manly, like you act like a guy. Like you would say things that a man would say.
You're not talking about a woman I'm seeing our dating, our interact. You're just talking about any woman in general, correct?
You could be with them or I would say more so in a relationship.
No, I ain't never told a woman I'm in a relationship to act like a guy, because I wouldn't be with them from the giddy up.
Nah, I mean, I have when I was younger, I probably had a little thing for tomboys, a little rough around the edges, that cleaned up nice, like the type that has some jeans, some overalls with paint on it. I was in the art department, so they were a little rough, but they cleaned up when they threw them heels on and that skirt. You know what I mean? Cleaned up nice. But
when you said
maybe the emotional side is what reminded me of a male. Like they weren't like super overly emotional.
Yeah. For me, I'm gonna say this. Like, I didn't really know what like femininity was until like a late age, because I grew up if I was to go back, if I had to gauge my mother, I would say she has a lot of masculine energy, which probably carried over to my sister. I think a lot of trauma and hurt causes women to be that way as well. You know, when they go up into this protection mode and they come aggressive and they doing all this and just it's just like too much. So once I seen what femininity looks like at a later age, I'm like, damn, like what the hell is this? It was so foreign to me. It just kind of catch you off guard because you don't really recognize because you're not used to this. Like most of the women did have an aggressive, and even talking to my grandfather, I learned a couple things about my grandmother. Like my grandfather would give my grandmother her way just because he didn't want to hear her mouth. And I've said this before, I think on King Talk, whereas if he can go back, he said he would have changed that because now that I'm seeing how everything is moving and how I would have liked things to be, I think my grandfather should have set the tone. He shouldn't have to like alter how he wants to move because he doesn't want to hear her mouth. So I guess he had that like happy wife, happy life type of mentality. And nowadays, I still think that you can have a happy house with some structure into it, but you have to be able to set that foundation. So I have had called my sister. I told she had masculine energy. Um, Engaging with people, I don't typically say you're acting masculine, but I would probably check them with their tone because sometimes when you're dealing with women in the beginning, you don't see that side. Usually everything is masked. And then once it becomes a challenge or you guys have a disagreement, then you typically would see that type of behavior. And so I think it's very important that you set that tone like, hey, I was talking, you over talking me. And you have to point that out in the beginning because if you don't, it's going to constantly be like that and you're not going to never have control. You know, same thing that people say, I'm not trying to argue with you. It's only an argument when you label it an argument. As far as I'm concerned, we're having a discussion. And I know that everything's not going to be peaches. You know, we're going to have some disagreements. So I come into the understanding that when I engage with men or women, that we may have a disagreement, but we're not going to label it an argument. I think that's a tactic that people use to be able to run away from it so they can try to avoid it. Because sometimes when you start speaking that truth to somebody, they don't want to hear it. And so they shrink and go into this mode and they're trying to find it out. And the quickest way that people can get out of this is say, I don't have time, I'm not about to argue with you. And then they never revisit the conversation. So I just maybe highlighted to answer the question, I may have highlighted some things that insinuated that your behavior was out of the norm for a woman.
I've actually been told that I act like a guy. I've been told that I work around um, a male dominant industry. And I guess over the years, it just kind of maybe rubbed off on me. So I had to have a person to actually sit down and tell me, like, listen, I want a woman. I don't want to be laying next to, uh, you know, like, somebody acting like a man, like you need to be a woman, be more, I guess the way I spoke and maybe the things that I did in the past, like, oh, I got it. I don't need your help. I can do it. Just little things like I had a party at the house and I was getting ready to take the trash out. And the guy was like, I got it. I'm like, oh, no, I got it. Enjoy yourself. That's what the man is supposed to do. But here I'm telling this man, I got it. You don't have to take the trash out. So I had to, and I'm still learning to kind of like, be more girly, be more feminine and things like that. And not, and it's, I'm getting there. But yeah, I've
You
been
are
told that.
definitely most improved, Tanya. I mean,
Thank you.
But I think it's like what you said, he had to set the tone. I think a lot of times men don't set the tone. They want a woman to behave, come with knowing and come with all of these things already in process. But everybody is a work in progress. So if it's something that I am not doing, I do think it's important for the man to set the tone. Like for me, there were times where my husband, before had to like check, put your dick away. And in that moment, like, because I didn't realize I was even saying something that was, out of line or, whatever. But there will be certain things that he'll just say that in that moment made me check myself to be like, oh, my bad. I didn't mean it like that. And then kind of readjust. But it again, we because of our upbringing and our experiences, we're coming into a relationship filtering everything we do through those experiences. And so if certain things don't align with what you need, then it's important for you to set that tone to let us know so we can readjust. Now, if we don't readjust, then that's something different. But it's very important for you as a man to set your intentions and set the tone in which the relationship is going to go.
Right.
Well,
So,
I know, with
you know,
me, I speak. I'll go ahead, Jeff.
no, I was just gonna say, just to kind of speak on what Miss Taken is saying, it's like that's when you're entering a relationship. But the conversations that we typically have now is that people have already had the damage done to them. So now we're having conversations in the hope to be able to explain to a woman that's so masculine, so to speak, is that a woman should be pleasant at all times. And so typically, and I see Logic in the chat, you have somebody like Logic say, well, when you meet me as a man or act like a man, then I'm gonna treat you as such. That's the way I'm gonna talk to you. So if women have the understanding in the beginning, whether you're damaged or not, or if they begin to learn and understand that a woman's supposed to be pleasant, you don't have to open yourself up in order to be vulnerable, but you can still act like a lady. You can still present yourself as such, so that when a man is around you, now he has that. He's like, oh, hey, it's more inviting, but you don't have to be vulnerable or allowing somebody into your space, but just act like a lady. And he says it all the time too. Just act like a lady. You don't have to be that whole rah rah rah, because then when you start communicating with a guy like that, then that's what you're gonna get back. He's gonna probably lash back, because men have trauma too. And so if he has some trauma where he had a dealings with a masculine woman or been in a relationship and all she did was just explode every time, that's going to remind him as well. And so now you just got two masculine energies that's clashing. Mm-hmm. But if the woman's is supposed to have a softer side from the get-go, and that's the way she's supposed to carry herself, then she's going to balance them out. And the same thing with a guy. Like if a guy's arguing back with a woman, then she's going to typically lose respect for him. And now he's out of character, because now he's going back and forth. He's arguing with a lady. And so now you just got a circle of two people that's doing shit that they're not supposed to be doing. And then you got that explosion.
I don't necessarily think that, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, but if everybody rests in a masculinity and femininity, then I think that's what's going to offset each other. And I think that you can grow from that point. But go ahead. I'm sorry, Tanya.
Just quickly, I don't necessarily think that the damage is done. There's always room for change. So once again, when I was aware of my actions and the things that I would say, I toned things down. So I'm not, saying words like smash and this and that, as often as I would say. I was also told that I curse a lot. So I worked on that. So once again, I work around nothing but men in the industry. So it kind of just rubbed off on me for years and years and years. And I have to be tough at my job, like no nonsense. So sometimes I realized that has rolled over into my personal life, and I didn't like that. When a guy pointed it out to me, I was just like, damn, all right, I need to switch this up, because, I want to be submissive and nice and pleasant and all that stuff, which I am, but it just made me, realize that that's what I was bringing.
Well, I remember as a kid, my first encounter actually meeting somebody real feminine, a feminine type woman, was a TV show. It was 227, and it was Sandra, and how feminine she was, and how and to me, and I think I was probably about 8 or 9 years old, but I just found her to be so sexy, because she was so feminine, so dainty. I remember having Calvin one time helping her up in her apartment with her bags. And I was like, God damn, she's sexy. Not just in her looks, but just the way she carried herself and how much of a woman she was. That shit turned me on. So that's how I got my early introduction to a feminine woman. But just saying that, gender roles, I even said it on She Critique one time. How do y'all ladies feel about gender roles? And when a woman's in her gender roles and in her role, that's feminine to me. That is very feminine. But when she gets out of it and start acting like you said, a man, like you said, taking the trash out. Man, no, I'll take that trash out. Or my son's going to take the trash out if he's around. Why are you taking the trash? Now, you can put trash in a can, but you're not going to take it out to the garbage can. Let me do that, because that's my role. Like, I'm going to allow you to do your thing within the house. That's your role. So,
Hey, team.
you
Hey,
nervous,
team.
baby. I got your gender roles. I know what you need to be doing.
Team Dal, I see you sitting over there. Like, what's your thoughts about what's going on? Do you agree with the conversations that's happening?
Yeah, when it comes to femininity and when it comes to women being in their roles, I definitely think that a lady should be a lady at all times. I don't disagree with that. And, the role of a man when he is in your life is to hold the protective space for that femininity to flourish. And so, when we talk about Hink's talking about, being in those roles and fulfilling your role as the masculine in the relationship with the feminine in the relationship. And so, it's important that I personally think that roles are important. When it becomes too enmeshed, I feel like that's where you start to find like friction. And so, it's important to just have those, what role do you play? What role do I play? And just trust that the person in the relationship is going to hold that position down. Like, I don't need to question what it is that you're doing, because that's what you do, and you do it well, and you've proven that you can hold that position, and I trust you to move forward in that role and lead in that direction, and vice versa. And so I definitely agree that there are roles in the relationship for sure.
And I think Jay Speed, he always supports this channel, so he had a question. Do we really understand what feminine in this setting? Second question, how could we know when we so much outside of natural order of things? You guys understand that?
I kind of
Okay.
do.
All right. Well, let's just see if we can address this real quick. A couple people.
Well, I'll speak for me. In terms of feminine, I would say that I had a very feminine mom growing up. My personality and characteristics were different from hers. I am the type of, and I think this is partly of what attracted my husband to me. Not that I'm not feminine, but I don't mind like getting down with anything. Like if we gotta eat beans, I'm not gonna complain about the fact that we got to eat beans tonight and I really want, a filet mignon. I'm going to do what I need to do, whatever the goal is, whatever the direction we need to go, I'm going to be on it. And so I think for me, I still have a tough time defining femininity based on what I guess you guys are saying what femininity is. Like, I do believe that I am feminine, but there are aspects of me that I just enjoy doing. Like my dad, he used to work on cars a lot. I would be there with him. I know how to change brakes. You know what I'm saying? I, know how to change a tire. It was just certain things that he taught me, growing up, saying these are things that he thinks is important for a young lady to know. But in dealing with other men, if I was like, no, I changed my time, it's like, oh, what are you doing? Or I know how to fix things around a house. Not that I know how to, build a whole house, but there are certain things that I just naturally gravitate towards to because I enjoy it. So if I have to fix something around the house, I don't necessarily go to my husband and ask him. I'll just do it because I enjoy doing it. But based on your definition of femininity, I'm acting in a masculine role and I don't think I'm being masculine. So I think each man has to define what that femininity is going to look like for them in their relationship. When I overstep, my husband will check me to let me know you're overstepping, where you need to be right now. And then I know, okay, let me fall back on that. So I don't know if I match that definition of what being feminine is, but I'm feminine enough for him.
To Mistaken's point, I was certainly raised in a matriarchal household as well. So understanding and finding that feminine essence was a journey for me. And so, one of the things that really stuck for me was when you're really thriving in your feminine energy as a woman, you're a really great follower, right? So like, for example, you're okay with taking directives. You're okay with someone leading you. You're okay with receiving, right? So like, if we think about the masculine energy, they want to do, they want to fix. As the woman, we're okay with receiving, where it's like, oh, I'll take the trash out for you. Thank you. like I'm not going to refute that. Another really big thing was learning how to vulnerably express myself rather than coming off as judgmental. And so, using feeling words where, as women, especially being raised in single mother households or being raised in a matriarchally dominant household, we can be harsh with our words. And saying that to men, I mean, they are driven in ego more so than we are. And so using those harsh words on a man, I mean, it just further disconnects the both of you. So rather than being like, this is what you did and pointing the finger, taking accountability for, I'm hurt, like my feelings are hurt. I feel unheard. I don't feel seen. And so expressing ourselves vulnerably. And then another thing was just being grounded in my self-worth, like understanding that I am enough, I'm great, understanding that I can trust myself. And then that just became, my relationship just became a byproduct of the essence that I created within me. And so grounding myself in self-worth, I guess, the relationship became a worthy relationship as a byproduct of that.
I think femininity is really easy to grasp. I think that sometimes it's easy to be tough than it is to be feminine. And sometimes when we're tough, we think that we are taking back those barriers that we felt that didn't necessarily need to be crossed, right? Because we're protecting ourselves. We're holding our hearts. We're making sure that nobody can hurt us. And why can't they hurt us? Because we're strong. And when that happens, it's like the man is looking at us like, or a man is looking at us and being like, well, what are we here for? If you have all the answers, what are we here for? If you can do this, you can take out the trash, you can do this, you can do that. What do you need me for? And they leave. They leave because you can do everything. So what am I here for? I'm not helping you with anything because you're doing everything on your own.
I think looking at J Speed's.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Nah, looking at J Speed's question, I think he was asking, how do we define femininity in this current climate? What does that look like in this current climate? When he was saying things, no, we so much outside of natural order of things. So I guess what he's saying is, being that things are currently so out of the natural order, how do you define femininity currently? Because there is a difference.
There is a difference. I don't know.
I wouldn't say that there is a difference. I feel like in modern day, people just have a really bad habit of wanting to redefine things. And obviously, as time progresses, behaviors, experiences, the way that we perceive the world, that expands and it grows as well. At the end of the day, it gets frustrating because people will try to say that in modern day, yes means no, where it's just like, no, like yes means yes. This is This is just what it is. And so I do think that we have found ourselves being pulled away from this natural order because time has evolved. So if we're wanting to recreate more of these traditional relationships in terms of how the masculine and the feminine interact, or how a man and a woman interact, then I think you just have to get back to the basics. But the foundation of that, if that's what you're looking for, doesn't change.
All right. Tanya, you want to say something?
Oh no.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
I seen Siobhan come off the mic a little bit too. Go ahead, Shantae.
I agree. As a person, like I grew up that way. My mom to me is very feminine. She's very passive to the point where it's just like, she shouldn't be. But also the women in my house, I was raised in the South where you were taught to be a Southern belle at all times, which is like ladylike. So it's like a foundation that's there. Whereas I would assume that somebody who lives somewhere like New York or some other place where you had to have your defenses up a little bit, may be raised a little bit different than somebody from a Southern state. But I don't think that it's changed over time. I think that we're now growing an appreciation for it. Because when I was in my 20s, that wasn't appreciated. Men wanted the girl who was going to put them in their place, go off on them. Those feminine women weren't being chosen, in my opinion, from the people around me. And so now I think men are gravitating towards it. They're speaking up on it, like, oh, I've experienced a different type of chick. I don't know if it comes with maturity, age, whatever, but now they're wanting a more feminine woman. But the problem is these women in the past thought you wanted something else. So they were kind of gravitating towards that because that was praised back in the day. You understand? I think that Tanya shared her story with us. I think she was doing that because that worked. And now that it's not working, somebody actually came to her and said, look, you're giving me masculine energy. She's willing to change that. But now, like I said, it wasn't always praised. This is a new phenomenon. Men want a feminine woman. But let's just be honest. That wasn't the deal, 15 years ago.
Nah, I think I agree. I think it comes
experience. Let me say this real fast. Once a man experiences a feminine woman, they're not going to turn back. They're not. Now, maybe those men you're talking about has yet to experience that feminine type of woman. But
if they've met me, then they've met a feminine woman.
I know that's right. But once they experience that, they never turn back. Well, why would you want to go back and deal with a masculine type woman? No man really wants to deal with that, because you hanging out with your boys, and that's what you got in your house, one of your boys that so happens to have a split. Nobody wants to deal with that bullshit. I know I don't.
I think it's relative though too. Like I said, I think for each person they have to define what that's going to look like for them, because even in my growing up, what I looked at, I guess what would be masculine is what I saw my father do. But the things that my husband was exposed to was different because his father wasn't in the house. So I'm coming in with a mindset of certain expectations that he didn't necessarily have at that time because he didn't have to. Like I told you, my father worked on cars. So that was an attribute that I just thought all men had. But in his situation, growing up in New York City, they weren't driving cars. They was taking, the train. You know what I'm saying? So that wasn't something that he needed to know in order to survive. But when we got together, I'm looking at certain things, like, because we ended up getting a car, and I'm thinking that he knew certain things and he just didn't. So that didn't make him less of a man because he didn't know it. But what he did do is he sought out resources. He went to my dad's house and had my dad, teach him how to do certain things because he didn't learn it, but now he knows how to do it. Same thing for me coming in. It was certain things that I didn't know that his mother showed me. Not that my mom didn't know, but specifically with food. I knew how to cook, but I knew how to cook based on the things that I was exposed to growing up. So I knew how to make those meals, but he had a much more developed palate. And his mom, you know, she cooked, you know, and just things that I had never even eaten before. I didn't know how to cook, and she took the time and she showed me, this is how you make this, this is how you do this. So I think it's all about what you're coming in with. That's what you're going to bring, but each person says, well, these are some of the things that I would want for you to know how to do. And then I think it's up to that person to really take the time to make those necessary changes so you guys can, you know, match, you know, fairly. So I learned how to cook different meals that I never knew how by having his mom show me and explain how to do it. And again, like I said, my husband went to my dad when things, you know, happened with the cars. So he can make sure that he, you know, takes care of it. If he didn't know how to do it, we had the funds to go get it fixed, you know. So he made sure that was taken care of. So I think y'all have to define that, because what I struggled with was, like, you know, Shan, I'm saying, oh, you know, like she's the Southern Belle, the feminine, blah, blah, blah. And I know being that type for my husband is maybe certain aspects, but being that type for him isn't going to work.
It's not. I know there are. It is not.
But I agree with Shantae as well, that once upon a time, you know, it was fashionable for you to deal with a crazy woman. I mean, you know, I was born and raised up north where, you know, the women are a lot more aggressive for the most part. And then I came to school in the South where, you know, they're a lot softer. I mean, you know, you find some rough ones here and there, but they're a lot softer, Southern belles, so to speak. And I had to get adjusted. And like you, I totally agree with you, Hank. Once you deal with one, you won't want to go back to, you know what I mean, a rough one. That's the absolute truth. Like, we used to, you know, because the truth is, quote unquote, the rough ones, the crazy ones have the good, you know. So you got dudes just sitting around talking about, yeah, nigga, she don't burn my house down, but woo, yo, them, you know, them draw, yo, she got that good. You know what I mean? It was stuff like that because that's what was fashionable at the time. But at that point, I had not dealt with anybody who was, you know, truly feminine. So
Well,
that's
you
all
know,
I
let
knew.
me just clarify, because you said crazy. Femininity and crazy, that's not the same thing. Because you can definitely slash you know, some tires in a feminine manner. So I'm not gonna even
Sounds
lie.
like you're talking from experience.
I was lady, but I
You
had
walk down that avenue, Shantae?
Oh shit.
listen.
Oh,
Did you do me
shit.
wrong? I have
Dang.
matured. I've matured, but I did it in a feminine manner, ladylike.
What, with a fingernail file?
Like, like the Beyonce video when she had the yellow dress in the back.
Ring like he's
Yeah,
falling
should
on
have used the
y'all.
ice pick, Jay.
Listen, you can go across that car with a fingernail filer just as pretty and classy as you like.
Damn. Fellas,
I don't do
beware.
that anymore. It's not that serious anymore.
Oh, really? Okay.
I know. I know. She done found the Lord. She ain't doing that
I
no more.
love the honesty, sis.
Yeah. All right, we got some super chats to get through real quick.
Can I read
Volunteer?
them?
There you go.
E499, Shantae and Miss Taker remind me of my auntie, smart and classy. J. Marie, $5. Already established men or means a woman have time to make a family, go to school, have a career, or do whatever she wants. Do whatever they want. Mm-hmm. Mike Adobo, $2. When the meal is ready, who don't want to eat? I will. Just Tam, $4.99. Hey Tam. Salute to the panel. Hey my chic critique ladies. Emoji. Rebellious videos, $2. Afternoon, everyone. T-Bomb looks on point. Ash, $9.99. Men are simple. If a woman is operating in their true femininity, that men will be upfront with his intentions and goals if that woman is clear about what she wants versus need from a man. Rebellious videos, $2. Didn't we just discuss want versus need the other day? BZ, formerly Baby Zaddy, $2. It's your place to put us in our place. Bars.
All right, look at this all the super chats. Yeah, let's go conclude the show for today, man. It was this one was a short one, but apologize for all the mishaps in the beginning, but we got through it. Shout out to the sponsor, Teach Hanley again. Make sure you guys feel it, Teach. Mr. Lee is going to be on tonight. I know he's out of the country, so where he's at, the power was out. So right now it's 7 o'clock Central. So make sure you guys tap in tonight. We should be all good for that. If anything changes, just monitor it. But looking like tonight about 7 o'clock, Mr. Lee's show will be going on. Also, pinned to the top of the chat where you can find the She Critique on Fridays. That link is pinned to the top of the chat right there. 8 o'clock Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. So if you guys want to check them out and see what they discuss there, that's where you can find them at.
On Lapeef JR. Separate.
Right, yeah, I got it pinned to the top of the chat right there, so they can click the link. With that being said, I appreciate you guys. I know it's Sunday. I know it's football season. You got the Bears on. Hink.
My stomach will be a growl. I'm like, I'm hungry.
Yeah, man.
Okay, well, I think you've been hungry before the show started, Shantae, so don't try to blame that on the show.
I'm trying to be cute and good, so I'm trying to eat right.
On a diet?
I am.
There's no such thing as a diet. There's no such thing as a lifestyle change.
Lifestyle change. That's what I mean.
Right. Yeah. That's what we want to keep it. The diet, some
She's
simple.
lying. She's on a diet.
I'm on a diet.
She's been dieting ever since I knew her.
From She Critique ain't gonna let me over on the show anymore after this conversation.
You can come as long as you behave yourself.
As long as you come.
Well, Shantae, from
them 20 minutes.
Like from the way that it appears, Shantae, you seem to be the only one to be able to put Hink in check. So,
it's the femininity.
Yeah, I see.
Nah, Shantae can't do that. Only one lady I know can do that.
Oh, you don't think? Okay.
Hank gonna leave her. He gonna leave at the coffee shop.
Oh, it's just about
I like coffee.
the restaurant, the garage.
Yes. Hey, I'm gonna leave Chantel to Applebee's.
Okay, sir, it's Chantel. I can't.
The coffee shop was.
Tuning in today for Lapeef Sundays. Catch us next Sunday. I appreciate y'all, pound. I love y'all. We out, y'all. We out.
Thanks for having us.
No problem.